All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Area 51 Dark Horse Racing Area 51 season finale here at Indy. 85 laps is the race distance for tonight, and we're going to take you through a lap around this track here with our very own Steve Gottschalk. So Steve, I know you ran a few laps to say, and I know you found some very interesting info on the aero push right off the bat. But, I mean, take us through this track. I mean, I know it's a pretty straightforward one, but I know there's a lot of things that you can kind of get wrong here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the aero push was definitely kind of a surprise. And I think if I was these guys running this race, I would probably make some adjustments to the chassis just to make it a little bit looser coming off the turns. And on entry. But basically the fast line around this track is hugging the inside around the turns. You don't really want to hit the rumble strip because that can upset the car. And if you hit the grass, you're probably going to loop it. It's possible to go side by side in the turns, but it's really hard for the person on the outside to maintain their speed and be able to do a pass on the outside. So what we're going to see here is what we saw the last time, where they were playing leapfrog down the straightaways and then single file through the turns.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, Steve. And so obviously all eyes are going to be on the playoffs tonight. In my opinion, it's going to be pretty much a two-horse race. I think Dark Horse in third a little bit. So right now, Henry Bennett, a 9-point lead entering tonight over Nick DeGroot. Matt Wagner sitting in third, 20 points out. And then you got Craig Forsyth, Charles Teed in fourth and fifth. And then also even in sixth position, got Jeff Hysong right there. So we got a really close battle for fourth. Really fourth through seventh, actually. Fourth through sixth, I believe it is. So good little battle there. And also, Steve, I know pit road entry, that's going to be a critical one as well. Really need to maximize that before you get to those cones. We saw you just pass there on entry as well. But, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun tonight to see what everybody's got in store. And the other thing is it isn't just going to be all about the playoffs. To say we got a little bit of a prize tonight, courtesy of... blanking on names here. on nlmcgear.com, apologies. I'll say trying to get everything together right now. Jim over there is generous enough to offer up. You can see here on the screen. I'll say they are proud to highlight a new partner, unite2light.org. And they're going to be giving away this Chandler charger. It's a solar cell phone charger to the winner of this week's Indianapolis race. So I'm saying some of the info they're telling us is basically over 1 billion people live without electricity. And say, of course, then access to clean, affordable light and energy is critical to improving health, education, and prosperity. Unite to Light is dedicated to providing low-cost solar light and power to those without electricity across the globe. For every Chandler charger or Luke light you buy, Unite to Light will donate one to a partner organization doing humanitarian work around the globe. So basically you buy one and then they give one. So it's a really cool option. Again, so you can find them at lmcgear.com. You can see the picture there of what it looks like. And I mean, for me, Steve, I'll say being out in Arizona, I'll say you can never go wrong with the solar chargers here because although we're in monsoon season right now, more often than not, we've got plenty of sun to go around.
And I'm sure that they would love to have that in New Orleans right now.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, again, I would say you buy one and say it's going to go to a group and they'll donate one to a place in need. So, and that being said, though, we got to go over points because already it's going to change just a little bit. And it is, as going to kind of come off wrong, but it's going to have championship implications. I'm going to sound like Rick Allen over here, but it is indeed going to. So we're going to pull up our starting grid for tonight. And you see right here, Henry Bennett going to get that pole and the 2 bonus points by 0.003 of a second over Nick DeGroot, his championship competitor. So basically now change that 9-point bonus to 11 points going into it. And then Charles Teed in third, Matt Wagner in fourth. You got AJ Hobson, Jimmy Drynan, Bud Steele, Gary Corley, Craig Forsyth in ninth, David Leclerc rounding out our top 10. 11th and 12th, you got Jeff Hysong, John DeMatteo. And we'll keep going through the field here. And you've got Michael Spell 13th, James Ledford 15th, Yari Brubacher last week's winner, very popular win for Yari, and 16th. Then you got Jim Brooks, and then Charles Johnson going to be rounding out the field. So it looks like about 17 cars, I believe, going to take the grid here tonight. And also gotta say we gotta say, with this being the finale, we got some special additions. We've got an extra body in the booth with us tonight, and that is going to be our road course ringer of the Area 51 season of Covey Moore. Covey's going to be our mathematician, if you will, tonight. And of course, also kind of keeping eye on everything going on around track tonight. Covey, first off, it's a pleasure to have you up here with us as well. I've definitely had a lot of pleasure of being able to do races with you, but now being able to join you in the booth as well. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight. I'm sure we're going to be working some numbers pretty hard on you tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to be bringing up the best I can out of my math skills here. It's cool to get to see the inner workings of a little broadcast like this. It'll be fun to figure out how this championship looks while it's still rolling on track.
Yeah, so I kind of jumped the gun on that first part. So with Henry Bennett getting the pole again, 0.003 of a second. We were talking before the race that qualifying was going to be extra critical for Nick, because if he was able to get that those 2 bonus points, that would bring him down to 7, and that would be enough of a difference for him basically to leapfrog that 007. If he was able to win the race, that 10-point difference between first and second. So now that job just gets that little bit harder now for that 89 car.
There's certainly a fair share of bonus points up in this league, and I think that's going to be a big factor into how this race ends up between the no incident points and leading the most laps and getting that fastest lap. There's 8 available. Henry's grabbed 2 of them, so there's 6 more available, and that can still be that difference between first and second for those 2 front runners.
So Kobe, tell us, with that point scoring system, right now Henry is ahead of Nick by 11 points. Let's say Nick wins the race, then what happens?
If Nick wins the race, it's very much coming down to those bonus points, because that'll make it a 1-point difference without considering any of the additional 6 out there. And I mean, no incidents for guys like Henry and Nick is kind of day off. The most laps is only one guy can get that. Fastest lap, one guy can get that. So it's really just going to be down to what these guys prioritize on track.
And it's a 10-point difference between first and second place, and then what is it, 5 points between second and third?
Yeah, then we're down a differential of 15 to the lead, so another 30. It goes 50, 40, 35, 32, 30. Top 5, so a 20-point difference from 5th to 1st in awarding points.
So I think the pressure here is really on Nick to win this race, because let's say he finishes second and Henry finishes third, he only gains 5 points in that scenario, and he'd have to win like all the other bonus points.
Absolutely, yeah. He's just got to put it all out there, try to lead as many of those laps and win the race, because I think we're about to see somebody go get that lap lead point already.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to actually go right off the bat to Henry Bennett. Is going to get that lap lead, because unfortunately we got an early caution. Looks like it's caught Bud Steele out. Not sure what happened. We'll go back and try to find where it was. It was right at the beginning here, so we're going to have a quick yellow to start things off. So probably a little bit of nerves as well, but yeah, it's going to be obviously a good break here for Henry. Doesn't have to worry about that draft, of course. That probably would have brought Nick right into the mix. So again, we're going to be counting points lap after 5. Oh, you see that car still having damage. He's going to catch the outside wall a little worse here. Let's go back. Let's try to find out exactly what happened to Bud Steele here coming to the green.
He just got loose going through turn 1. I don't know if he made a bad adjustment to the car, or if that's the difference when you have the whole field there and what the aero does.
Yeah, you're right. And actually right in front of the 27 of Craig Forsyth. Craig probably, looks like Craig's going to have some front wing damage, possibly some left front suspension damage as well. So that's going to bring the first yellow out. So I'm also going to be curious to see what Craig Forsyth's car looks like. As it does, it looks like he's got some left front suspension damage to that 27 machine. So that could also be a huge disappointment for Craig. Again, mentioning he was right there in the running on the point side of things. You can see that left front tire just kind of flopping around there. So he's going to have to get that repaired. I think right now we'll go back live here and take a look at Bud Steele. He's trying to catch back up to the field. And Craig Forsyth, yeah, it's still limping with that loose wheel, I should say, in the left front. So that may require a faster pair right off the bat. So to say, now he's going to have to try to keep that thing clean the rest of the way here, as the field's just now catching the pace car.
Yeah, it's a pretty rough way to start the race.
Yeah, we got a lot of drivers hitting pit road here. I don't think they realize. You can see the lights in the background. The pit road is closed. So we'll have to see if they clear these penalties or not. But I mean, from what I'm looking, I see Yari Brewpacker, Michael Spell, James Ledford, Jim Brooks, all entering that closed pit. So I believe it might just be tailing their lead lap. Not sure if it's an EOL or a black flag or anything. But yeah, possibly some mistakes there as well for when the caution came out, where the pace car was in relation. But as we mentioned, though, Henry Bennett, though, is going to be the big beneficiary of this, able to get that first lap led as well. So again, points numbers all race long. That 11 now goes to 12. So like I said, I think for Nick DeGroot in that number 89 car, he's just got to go full aggressive, kind of just, I think, force the pressure on Henry, try to see if we can force him into a mistake, which we saw both of them do last week, Steve. So I don't suspect we'll see anything like that again, though.
No, I don't think so either.
And then, so Covey, we'll bring you back in on this as well. So, I mean, again, I know you from plenty of racing over on the Dark Horse side on the DW12s, of course, a little bit over here. I mean, I know you're kind of more of the road course ace, if you will, of your team. As I know you and Nick kind of partner up a little bit with one another in some of the leagues. Is there anything that you kind of aim for or look for in these races as a part of a strategy, or is it kind of you just have to really kind of go with the flow and the feel of these races?
Yeah, I think it just kind of comes down to going with that flow. I've learned in the IndyCar Oval and the road course community, using these cars, be it the DW12, that you really have to treat these races from the drop of the hat as a fuel race a lot of times, no matter what you're doing. Because there's those guys that are just being sneaky in the back of the pack that are thinking of things like that. And, I think we've seen that every so often here in this league as well. So that's something I've always kind of thought as a challenge in this type of racing. That's kind of the strategy from the drop of the hat. But you really do. It's just going to change with how those cautions fall and where you can cut pit stops out or just make that kind of opportune tire change to leapfrog a little bit here and there.
Do you have an app that you use to keep track of your fuel mileage and know how far you can go, or do you do that by hand?
It's one of the funniest things between Nick and I at Factory Back Motorsports. I'm a guy that absolutely 100% uses, I use Joel Real Timing. It does a pretty decent job of keeping you abreast of what's going on. It's not perfectly exact. I haven't figured it out exactly, but it does give you all the kind of what your usage is per lap. And then there's Nick that has always just been whatever the steering wheel says, he's going off of that for the whole race, and it's bit him in the butt once or twice. But yeah, the strategy and things like that has never been my strong suit. So it's very much I hope for kind of busy races with a lot of cautions that always are throwing wrenches into people that have that strict correct fuel and pacing strategy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Sorry, Steve, don't mean to step on you there. Didn't mention lights are off the pace car. We're going to get back going here again. Also, Craig Forsyth just now leaving pit road, had some troubles getting down into his pit stall at that damage. I think opted to take a long pit stop. Oh, we see Nick DeGroot actually connection issue there. He's going to have to try to hurry up here and get back into his running order there. So he's, I'm sure, glad that happened under yellow, not under green. So that's definitely a little bit of a hair-raising moment for him. However, now you're going to see that pace car duck off, and it's going to be Henry Bennett leading the field back to green. Or actually, are they going? Nope, yeah, there it is. I'll say again, he has control of this restart. You see now he drops it, and you see everybody's going to have to react here, and they got to be careful about the accordion effect towards the back.
Wow, that was a scary moment there, and that is, I mean, there's a lot of ways to lose a championship. I don't think that's the way you want to lose it.
Yeah, you never want the internet connection to be part of that. So here you see Nick DeGroot gets that great run out of 2. He's going to look straight to the inside here, down the backstretch, entering turn number 3. And he said that first caution came out before he had the chance to do this, and that was exactly what we talked about for Nick, wanting to try to get that first lap led here in the 89 car. So we'll see now. So now the trick, though, is he's going to have to try to hold Henry off here out of 4. Henry might have enough momentum to swing back by him before he gets to the start-finish line.
Yep, we got the leapfrog starting already, and I think Henry got that lap.
Yeah, it looked like Henry just had his nose ahead at the line. So, and they'll say again, normally you're not worried too much about that, but again, you know they're going to be thinking about each lap. Say Nick's going to know Henry's led probably about at this point about 5 laps under this race so far as we start lap number 6. So say you kind of have to do that little bit of math here and there in your head. As say Kobe mentioned, say he kind of just runs off of what's on the wheel in front of him. So say he's not going to have all of that info. So yet to get that lap led, and again, it looks like Henry's going to get a great exit here out of 4, Steve. I think he's going to probably have the same issue here as they hit turn number 1 this next time around.
I wonder if this next lap, Nick should just stay behind Henry down the whole back stretch and change like which straightaway they're doing the leapfrog on.
It's actually a really good idea, or even just maybe try to change the timing of when you make that pass. Because it looks like this time, if he makes this move here, he might be able to do it a little further away, but I think he's listening to you here, Steve. You see him peek a little bit entering 3. He rolls out of it. Charles Teed's going to think about making that move as well. But I think he was listening to you there, Steve. I think you're going to see that exact thing here. Say, saw it twice in a row, didn't work out, so say, all right, you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm going to get this run right here out of turn number 4. And here comes the big move. He's going to try to get this lead at the line. And I believe that time by Nick DeGroot does get that lap led.
That's it. I'm team strategist now.
As is, yeah. So you might have to say factory back might be looking for some team strategists. So say you can send them your resume here, Steve.
Like it, you guys.
So the one I'm watching now is, again, everybody's going to have kind of different agendas. These top 2, they're going to be going all out, trying to figure out what they need to do, where they need to position themselves to win this championship. And then I go to 3rd place, Charles Teed. Again, there's a prize. I say it's not just for who wins this title. There's going to be a prize as well for the race winner. We went over that a little bit earlier there with that solar-powered cell phone charger. So again, Charles Teed, I think right now he's in full fuel save mode here. He can just basically maybe run a lower fuel map. Again, map 1 full rich, map 5 is full lean under race conditions. So you kind of wonder here as well, maybe Charles able to run, let's say maybe a map 3 or something like that. Save a little bit of fuel, maybe be able to go a lap or 2, possibly further than these leaders. I don't know if we're going to be in a window to maybe change and get rid of a potential fuel stop, but that's always a potential as well to see if you can make something happen to stretch that fuel number. Because again, I think the window I heard is in the low 20s, 21 or so, to try to make it to the end.
I wonder if that's what Matt Wagner's doing, because he's just kind of sitting back there in 4th place right now, not really pushing anything.
Yeah, say Matt's probably mad at you for giving him so much grief about his fuel mileage, so he might be thinking the same. And of course, as soon as I say that about Charles Teed, he looks like he's going to try to get a 2-for-1 here in turn number 3.
Wow.
He's got Henry, he's got Nick, he's going to take the lead in turn number 4. But again, he's going to be that sitting duck on the backstretch of the big draft these cars pull. So as I would suspect, we'll see Nick DeGroot. Yep, there he goes. He's going to peek back to the inside. And it looks like it's going to be, I believe, Nick just having the edge at the line.
Charles Teed really just snookered both of them.
I think one of the best things here, you guys, that Nick could be doing right now is putting Henry in that 3rd spot while he's not doing anything for himself on the fuel consumption front. And Henry could be, I think, keeping opportunities for other guys to be leading laps is going to keep that margin for that extra point really available. If that extra point does go Nick's way, it's a 10-point difference again down to that win. So it's just kind of front-end politics here, if you're asking me right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. And it makes me wonder when Nick saw Charles Teed coming, if he just thought, I'm gonna let him go lead, and I can get into 2nd, and then that'll put Henry in the 3rd, and we won't have to worry about him that much.
Yeah, I think that wouldn't be the worst strategy. And again, that just having to deal with 2 cars wash is a completely different race game for a guy like Henry as well. He's probably easily one of the most talented around going these days, but 2 cars in front of you at any of these IndyCar tracks is certainly a different challenge than 1.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's very hard to pull off a pass when you're sitting in third place and the two guys ahead of you are playing leapfrog.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oh, we got trouble in the back trying to see who that was. I think, oh yeah, it looks like it's John DiMatteo there. That's going to bring the yellow out here. Oh, you see also, I think it's Gary Corley also caught up in that one. He's got serious left front damage on that car. And it looks like actually I think Jim Brooks may have got a piece of that as well. Yeah, he's looped around on the backstretch trying to get it turned back around. He's got some right rear suspension damage. So a lot of cars here. Going to try to go back and see exactly where all this came across here. I think it was around
Looks
with
like
John and Gary.
Might have been, yeah, a little bit of contact from Gary Corley in the midst to turn one there.
Yeah, let's take a look here as they go into one. Trying to find a good angle so we can see exactly what happened.
What I see is they both went into the turn side by side, and Gary, for whatever reason, didn't hold the car down to the bottom. And
Oh, it just caught the right rear. Yeah, it looks like I think honestly, just we talked about the arrow push. I think that's exactly what we saw there. And then yeah, so then those two make contact. You see great avoidance by, I believe that might be, no, it's not AJ Hobson. I'm trying to check who. Oh, it's Jeff Heisong. Good job by him. But I want to go up and see what happened after the caution, because then we saw Jim Brooks involved as well. So let's go back here and try to take a look. Oh, okay, it was actually Gary Corley still coming down the track. Then he hits the right rear of Jim Brooks, and that was where that suspension damage came about. So it's unfortunate. 51 is looking like he's in a good spot. Get in a good spot, then he makes contact as well. So yeah, we got at least 3 cars involved in that one. So that's going to put us back under yellow here. You see Jim trying to limp his car to the pits, get that fast repair, and stay on the lead lap as here comes the pace car. I think this time around we will most likely see the leaders come in, and yeah, here they come. Looks like Nick's going to lead them all in. But I see a few drivers thinking about going mixed strategy, but it looks like pit stops are going to be happening here. Oh, we got one risk taker. That's going to be last week's winner, Jari Brupacher, and Craig Forsyth, who did pit under that first yellow, so has just a little bit amount of fuel right now.
and that's going to put all these guys in the aero push zone.
Yeah, the other thing we'll watch for is to see if it's going to be just fuel maybe only or tires as well. Oh, actually, is also looking the further back to see, it looks like Jeff Heinsong had a moment on his pit entry. And it looks like Nick's going to hold steady there in the lead. And I think Charles Teed's going to win the race between himself and Henry Bennett. But yeah, it's going to leave Jari Brupacher here. Actually, Jari pitted on lap number 2 as well. Craig on lap 3. So these guys did pit. It's basically now about an 11-12 lap difference on fuel between these guys and the guys behind. So let's say, and we're on lap number 15 now. I'm saying they could probably go, what, maybe about 10 more laps if that 20 lap number is correct?
That sounds about right to me.
That'll be interesting to see. I wonder if anybody opts to maybe we'll see Jari maybe just wanted to get a lap lead, then duck on in. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It looks like everybody is back out on track. Although I believe Gary Corley may have retired from the event. And then, yeah, it's unfortunately Jeff Heisong trying to work his way back forward. Yeah, it looks like Gary Corley has indeed retired. So that's going to leave 15 cars on track. However, all 15 still on the lead lap.
I quite like that call from Jari if he's going to keep it on track here. Nothing wrong with 10 lap tires up front and get that point, disrupt that air, change things up a little bit. Oh, or is he coming in here? Nope. No, looks like we're gonna leave her out, and yeah, I think it's just a good move. It's just keeps things shook up, and nobody can kind of get settled up front and count on those points. That's for sure.
And Sam, sorry, go ahead.
He's also got the lighter fuel load, so that typically lets people with older tires run as fast as the people with new tires and full fuel.
Yeah, and I don't think he's in a bad spot by any means right now. I'll say that's the other thing too, is looking right now at the numbers. So again, we mentioned he pitted under that first yellow. So basically, we talked about maybe he can go about 10 or so more laps under green flag running. I'm looking at the numbers right now. Say right now we are at lap number 15. We were at 70 to go, or actually I should say we're at 70 to go now. So based on that, again, we said field number probably about the 20 lap mark. So I mean that would actually be right on the number when they have to pit. It would be right around that 59:60 to go, and at that point they'd be basically then pitting at 40 to go, 20 to go, and then they'd be good to go to the end. So that might be something that him and Craig were both looking at. Said, hey, we'd have to pit 10 laps earlier than the leaders, but we'd be in a good spot to still be in that lead pack. So I think this might be a good strategy for these guys. Again, they'll be off cycle, but again, here at Indy though, you can pit under green and not lose a lap as long as you're towards the front of the field. So that's another thing that could be a potential benefit for these guys. And of course, on the championship side, you got Henry Bennett now back into the 5th position. Say we got Nick DeGroot in 3rd. Of course, he's going to want to try to find a way to get around those two in front, but it's going to be Jari Brupacher here. He's going to lead the field back to green. Say, of course, last week's big win for him. So right now, the pace car ducks in. He has control of this restart, and say once he decides to, he can drop the hammer, and then everybody has to react accordingly. As there he goes. And he gets a nice little jump. Now you got to watch for that accordion out back, but it looks like so far so good. The rest of the field holding pretty steady.
Yeah, good clean getaway for those leaders is going to be paramount. No matter fuel loads and things like that, I think there's that early edge on a set of tires that if Nick can take advantage of, he can become someone who's cycling with just the leader instead of two guys and getting in that situation and potentially just keep that pressure on. Oh, wow. We definitely have seen some aggression out of Nick, and I feel like he wants to see that lead here soon.
Yeah, so he's
that was an important move because he really needed to get himself into 2nd place. So now he can play leapfrog with Craig Forsyth, and Henry's kind of stuck back in no man's land.
Yeah, exactly right. So you say, I don't believe Nick got the lap lead that time around. However, if he and Craig can work together, this could be that opportunity that he's looking for. But we'll watch to see what Craig does here on the backstretch. Right now, it looks like he's just going to cruise. And this could even work too if Craig decides, you know what, I'm just going to be kind of running cruise control. As I say that, here goes Jari Brupacher. He takes a look to the inside. Can't quite pull it off though. But if he's just going to go fuel safe here, this could allow Nick again. I mean, he can go full rich at this point and make it on the same strategy as these guys behind him. So we'll have to wait and see kind of what the strategy is going to be. But right now, Nick is just going to get the lap lead there. Now Craig's going to peek to the inside. So I'll say again, now we'll see does Nick try to adjust his, basically the timing of when he makes that pass on Craig in order to be able to kind of stay as that front car at the line to be able to get those most laps led.
Yeah, he may have to use the same strategy that he used the last time. We'll see if Craig tries to pass him back on the front stretch again.
Yeah, so I'm looking to see. I don't think they're in the same Discord. That was the other question. Maybe there's a little bit of communication between the two of them. Like, hey, I'm going to be doing this because of this, and maybe see if Craig maybe works with them a little bit. But all right, now, we got big hit on the inside wall there. Michael Spell into the pit entry. Brutal hit, multiple shots there. It looks like we stay green with that, but we're going to go back and take a look at this hit from Michael Spell because I don't think I've seen an IndyCar take as hard of a hit as I did there. Let's go back and see exactly how this all unfolded here. See him here coming out of 4. Everything looks all right, but I think let's take a look. I'm not sure if it's a late pit entry or something went wrong with his car because it just goes straight into the wall.
That is bizarre looking.
Yeah, it hits the inside wall, then hits the attenuator there, and then straight back into the inside wall once again. So this is where you're very thankful this is a simulation because that would be a very, very big hit there. So we'll jump back live though. So I believe Michael's been able to take a tow back into the pits as it continues though. Craig Forsyth and Nick DeGroot continuing that leapfrog battle up front.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. Jari seemed to have a lot of momentum going into turn 1 there, and probably could have gone under Nick in the turn, but it kind of looked to me like he backed off and chose not to.
And so now he's looking to the outside of Nick there in 3. I think this is Nick right now. He's readjusting, trying to get that momentum at the right time. So he's going to get the run here off of 4. He's going to look to the inside, but he's going to have to watch out. Here comes Jari as well. Will Jari try to make it 3 wide? Looks like for the moment they stay side by side. Nick will lead that lap though. And again, I think that's going to be crucial. I think Nick is definitely going full aggressive here, trying to make sure he can lead all the laps he can get that bonus point, and then like we mentioned, say get it back to that 10 point difference between the two of them. And say just to add the wrench in that, if it does wind up where they somehow finish tied in the points, I believe first tiebreaker goes to the most wins. Henry and Nick right now tied 3 wins apiece.
I think we need our statistician to find out what's the next tiebreaker.
Oh goodness me, guys! For some reason, in talking to Nick this week, he had some confidence that a tiebreaker was going his way. So I'm not actually sure what the ruling is. That's my rookie showing though, so I apologize for that.
Oh, no worries. I want to say usually the way I remember it being is it starts with the first place. It starts with the wins, and then I'm not sure if it goes either from wins to second or win to top fives. And you're right though. If it does, well, actually, you know what? If it goes to top fives, it actually would be still Henry Bennett because he has 7 to Nick's 6. So yeah, it's gonna be very intriguing to see how it all cycles through. But it might be, like I said, it may not be wins. It may not, or top fives. It may be second places after that. So I think the last time we had a finish like that was in NASCAR with Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart, which Tony Stewart was able to get that based on his wins compared to Carl Edwards. So we've seen crazier things happen before though, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
I think if we've seen crazier things happen with the amount of number crunching I feel like I'm doing, this is more than possible to be a tie. So I feel like these guys are going to want to decide it on track and not let it go down to the rules like that.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think right now right now Nick's on full attack mode. He's just kind of leading every lap he can. Like I said, he's timed out perfectly now. He's got kind of in sync here now with Yari Brubacher, where he says, you see, look at Yari there. Yari wants to protect that inside line. He's like, hey, if you want to pass me, you got to pass me up top here. Nick, I believe, gets the lap lead at the line, but now we'll see, can he clear? And he does. He's going to clear that number 49 back into turn number 1. But you got to go back, look at Henry Bennett. He's in a little bit of a gaggle here. He's right behind Charles Teed, right in front of David Leclerc. And I say we know David's never short on aggression as well in that 50 car. He's always trying to get the best result he can for himself. So Henry's got to be especially careful right now, kind of in a bit of a mess right now.
And as they run right now, Nick, I'm sure, is leading the points.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, as they run, this would have Nick as our championship leader. And I say here comes Yari Brubacher hitting pit road here. And this is coming at lap number 26. So again, that's right on that number. I believe that's going to be 60 to go right here. So this is right what we talked about for Yari. You see Craig Forsyth is able to stretch his field just another lap here. But like I said, if Yari can go now basically 20-20-20, I say he can make it there to the end of the race should we stay caution free.
Yeah, Craig's spitting now. He just keyed up.
Saying he's in a tough spot because you got Charles Teed trying to work underneath him off or into 3, but he's not going to be able to complete the pass, so that's going to allow Craig to have a nice clean entry here out of 4. He's got to duck off quickly and get in there, and he's going to get it down to speed. Say, looks like so far so good. Looked like a good entry there for him. So now it's going to be Nick DeGroot yet again holding the lead, I should say. Now Charles Teed behind him, and again Henry Bennett now losing probably in a little bit of a safer spot now in that 3rd position. And we got to mention again, we talked about Yari Brubacher. He pitted, he took 4 tires, he took fuel. Here he is about a half a straightaway ahead of our leaders.
To applaud Charles Teed on his patience there with Craig potentially having to force the issue going down. That would have changed the complexion for all these leaders.
Yeah, totally.
So right now, the other thing you kind of wonder, is there any thoughts? I think for Nick DeGroot, I think he has to keep doing what he's doing right now because, again, he needs to lead all the laps. But if you're someone else that's maybe in this lead pack but not in the front 2, front 3, what would be stopping you from maybe going with this alternate strategy like Craig Forsyth, like Yari Brubacher here? Pitting once you're in that window to be able to make it on those, let's say, 2 stops, 3 stops, kind of doing it as a road course, like doing the pit stop cycle backwards. Was that something that you'd be thinking about doing yourself, Covey, or would you be basically running this thing out as far as you can and then maybe play that fuel mileage game on the final stop of the race?
I'm not sure if I think you said that's if I'm not in their battle. I think if I'm not in their battle, I'm taking any sort of potential advantage I can, and that includes that exact theory, running it backwards, the road course mentality. Certainly. Those strategies are always dependent on how the flags fly, but this is Indianapolis. You gotta swing for the fences sometimes, especially when you know that guys like Nick, Henry, Matt are gonna be putting everything they can out there to try to get this title tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. Go ahead, Steve.
I'm going to throw out an opposite take on that. I think that works well on road courses where you don't have that much drop off in speed, and tend to have a big difference in speeds that people are running. But I'm looking at Jari Brupacher right now. He's running 41.6s, and last time I looked at the leaders, they were running 41.2s. The difference between being in a pack of cars and running by yourself. So Jari is losing almost half a second a lap to those guys. And if Nick was to pit early and end up by himself, or maybe with one other person drafting, I think he would just lose too much time to Henry.
That's actually, that's a great point, Steve. Yeah, you're right, because right now they're running 41.47, 41.48 for the leaders. It was 41.68 for Craig, 41.60 for Jari. So I'd say the problem for those two is they're too far away from one another to maybe try to do the same leapfrog. So that's almost where, let's say, if you wanted to go alternate strategy, you would have to have somebody to commit with you to do that strategy. So for instance, if Craig and Jari had come in together and come out together, then they could play that leapfrog game and still be making great lap time. So yeah, you're right, though. With these guys running by themselves right now, you're right, they're about at least 2/10 or so a lot slower than the lead pack right now with that leapfrog strategy. So based on those numbers, you would suspect they're going to be probably at least a second or two behind the leaders once that pit stop cycle happens for these guys up front here, which should be in, I would say, about another 5, maybe 6 laps, depending on their fuel burn.
If I'm Jari, I'm probably going to have to back up to Craig, or is Craig ahead of him?
Yeah, Craig's ahead of Jari by about 3 seconds, so I feel like that might be too much to drop.
That's interesting because Jari pitted a lap earlier.
Yeah, I think Craig just had a really good in and out. Yeah, actually, as I look at the numbers now, pit time was about 0.7 of a second quicker for Craig. It was 7.88 seconds to Yari's 8.57. And then on the pit road altogether, it was 38.33 for Jari to 36.93 for Craig. So that's, you see right there, I mean, Craig was able to gain about 1.5 seconds just on pit lane. And then maybe I'll say, of course, you never know about the aggression on pit entry, pit exit. Always a lot to be gained or lost there as well.
Well, and then the other thing is I forgot my own thing that I said a few laps ago, which is Craig, he was out for an extra lap and he was in that pack drafting. So that would have gained him probably
that's true.
half a second.
Yeah, that's a great point, Steve. So we're obviously not ignoring everybody else on the track right now. But yeah, definitely, obviously the focus is going to be on our title tonight. But right now, Nick's been doing what he needs to do. He's trying to lead every lap that he possibly can. Do need to mention though, David Leclerc, he started in 10th. He's up into that 3rd position. And I think he's I think he's put himself in a spot where he feels comfortable. I think he's really kind of turned down the wick a little bit, letting these guys play that leapfrog battle up and ahead of him. Henry Bennett, he's sitting in that 5th spot right behind AJ Hobson in the 4 machine. And then right now, 2 things, again, we will be watching for throughout the race is going to be that fastest lap. Again, that's a bonus point. And of course, let's say it's not a bonus point we just learned, but the highest climber right now. So that's the 51 of Jim Brooks, who's right on the back of this lead pack, but he also does have that fastest lap of the race right now at a 40.57. So I was saying to compare that with Nick DeGroot right now, he's at a 41.34. So it just shows if you can catch the draft at the right time, you can put down some pretty monster lap times. So that's going to be another thing for Nick is, I mean, there's not any way to plan for that fastest lap, but that's going to be something I think that's going to be in his mind as well throughout the course of this race.
So I think we're actually seeing Henry making attempts at that fast lap right now. Henry's last lap was a 41.26, and while we're still quite a ways from what Jim's doing, I think Henry recognizes that point is going to matter here, especially with Nick putting down these laps led here. Looks like pit stops have started.
Yep, yeah, exactly right. Nick DeGroot here pitting. Brought David Leclerc in with him. I got a little nervous. It looked like David got in pretty hot, but looks like both able to get in cleanly. So for Nick, though, you see also just in front, I believe that is James. No, that's James Lathrop behind him. I think it's John DiMatteo, but looks like no issue there. He's going to still be in his pit stop. So, yeah, so it's going to be Nick DeGroot, the first of our leaders to pit under green. And it looks like standard 4 tires and fuel for him. And so based on that, I would suspect we'll see Charles Teed not far away. And I'm going to watch. I want to see where he comes out in relation to Craig Forsyth. Yet here comes Charles Teed. He's going to make his first or second scheduled stop. That's going to put now AJ Hobson to the point.
Does Area 51 give any on-track penalties for anything? I just heard race control come over on not calling out a stop. We're not expecting anything out of that, are we?
No, I don't think there'll be anything on that one. I think it's just kind of a common courtesy type situation.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
But yeah, so that definitely, especially in a pack like that, you got to be careful on situations like that. So so we'll see. What I want to see now is where Nick DeGroot is in relation to Craig Forsyth. He's got about 1.4 seconds over Craig. However, Craig is right with David Leclerc, so those two will be drafting with one another. As here comes AJ Hobson, he's going to hit pit road now in that 4 car, which is going to cycle the lead now up to Henry Bennett, and AJ is going to bring Bud Steele and Jim Brooks along with him. But now you got Henry Bennett, Matt Wagner, and Jimmy Dryden stretching their fuel numbers here a little bit more. So they pitted on lap 14. We're on lap 38. They're going about 24 laps if my numbers are right. They're making some pretty big fuel numbers here.
I think that Nick needs to get in with somebody here pretty fast. Those extra laps are going to cost quite a bit with Henry leading. Not out of a lap sled situation, but the pace they're able to put down right now.
Yeah, I think he's not too far away. So I think that's where that Craig and David Leclerc situation is going to be a benefit for him. As again, Henry's going to stay out. The only thing is, right now, Henry hasn't been doing any leapfrogging with Matt Wagner right now. So Henry ran a 41.67 this last time by. And so trying to see where Nick is in that list. 41.46. So actually, Nick 0.2 quicker that last lap than Henry Bennett. So yeah, so I mean that's a mark in the right way. But do need to mention, you see right behind him, here comes that number 50 of David Leclerc right behind him, as is Craig Forsyth. So we're talking about needing to have some people to be able to draft with him, and he's got them now. And there goes that 50. You're going to take a look down the front stretch. We're going to jump back up front, though, because I think we're not too far away from seeing our leaders pit. And here they both come in together. Actually, Matt Wagner ahead of Henry Bennett on pit entry.
Wagner definitely had to get on the binders pretty heavily there. We could see something championship implications, as it were, off of that. We should keep an eye out.
Yeah, he definitely got in there a little bit hot. So we'll be keeping an eye and see how his pit stop time is in relation. So let's say once this cycles through, that will complete all of our drivers with their first set of first set of green flag pit stops, second set of pit stops for all. And say again, looks like just 4 tires and fuel. But now I'm looking to see when they get out. I don't know. I'm not sure they're going to be able to get out and hold this lead pack, because David Leclerc, Nick DeGroot already clear of them as they go into the tunnel turn through 1 and 2, and now down the backstretch. So right now I'd say advantage is definitely going to that 89 of Nick DeGroot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was saying, you see, Nick hasn't been able to get the sequence back right now. You see, he's actually passing David Leclerc here in the backstretch here, entering 3. So again, he needs to try to get that cycle back where he's always getting the lead at the start-finish line to be able to get those bonus points. Because right now you can see you're going to see here out of 4, there goes David Leclerc. He's going to get the lead against at the start-finish line. So right now, if you're Nick DeGroot, you need to kind of reset when you make that pass. Maybe ride for a lap, see if you can get Craig to work with you, and then start to make that move again out of 4 every lap.
I didn't want to butt in earlier in the race when you talked about that timing change, but that has to be one of the biggest things that him and I identify when one of us is racing and one of us isn't, is just making sure that you're looking at how that pass timing happens, because on some tracks it never really moves, or it'll be in 2 different spots that always favor one driver track position wise. So I think that's big, and kind of the sign of someone who's looking beyond just the next corner and the next lap.
Yeah, you see he's got it right there. He's kind of reset it again, so now he takes the lead there again out of turn number 4, gets that lap led again. So if he can keep doing what he's doing, he's going to feel pretty comfortable about being able to get those most laps led. I don't think, is there any way, I don't know if you have anything on your end, Kobe, that's able to kind of tell us who's led how many laps throughout the course of the race. Didn't you mention, though, last time by, Jimmy Dryden now, he puts down the fastest lap of the race, 40.54 to a 57 for Jim Brooks. So say right now that bonus point going to go to that 99 car.
I don't have anything in my software. I actually pulled up the configuration file on it to see if I could find it. That might be one that pops in afterwards. It is just a single point, so hopefully, like I said earlier, these guys try to decide it on track. But with Henry Bennett and Nick DeGroot this season, you really never know who's going to be coming out on top.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm saying it's about to all cycle back together again. We're about to have 11 cars in this lead draft once again. Because you can see Matt Wagner, he's just about got it back up to Charles Teed. Henry Bennett about half a second behind him. And then right now the last car in that group is going to be the 6 of Bud Steele, who's right now, as these guys go through the short chute into turn number 4, I say he was just coming out of 3. So yeah, right now everybody's within the draft of one another. But again, we mentioned of those that pitted early, Craig Forsyth definitely was able to make the most of it. Unfortunately, the 49 of Yari Brupacher, he's in that 9th position, so lost a lot of track position over the course of that pit stop.
I want to ask you guys, if you're sitting in Henry Bennett's position right now, what are you prioritizing? You definitely have found out you can go a little further, but I don't think it cuts any stops out. So is there a situation where Henry's really just kind of got to find that flagpole and realize from here on out I have to be moving forward, or what do you think there?
I think that the only advantage that he has by the fuel saving strategy, if this stays green, is his last stop is going to be a little faster than everybody else's because he'll have to take less fuel. So, maybe that'll work for him, but if I was in his position, I would want to get myself up close to the front, I think.
Yeah, I'm similar as you on that, Steve. I say I'm going to take it one step further, though. I think if I'm Henry Bennett at this point, I say if you can't find your way towards the front, maybe hoping, of course, that the field would kind of thin out a little bit over the course of the pit stops. However, if it doesn't stay that way and we get to that final stop of the day and you're still sitting around that 5th, 6th position while you've got Nick DeGroot right now, again, running kind of 1st and 2nd throughout the course of this run here, I'm gonna take just enough fuel to make it to the end and then not put any tires on the car. I'm going to shorten that pit stop by multiple seconds to get myself out in front. Risk, of course, the pit exit, the gamble, of course, with the kind of the sketchier tires. But I think that's going to be his best opportunity for tonight. Do need to mention, though, right there, you saw Yari Brupacher again hitting pit road here at 40 to go. So he is hitting that number just like we talked about a little earlier on. So based on that, I suspect, we'll see Craig Forsyth probably in the next few laps as well.
I like that strategy idea, Gael, but I think the only way it works is if you get somebody else to come in with you and do the same thing. Because if he comes out and he's running by himself on old tires, he's going to lose everything that he gained.
Yeah, it's definitely a risky one. As I did notice, it looked like AJ Hobson may have just touched the wall off the floor, but the car looks like it's still handling okay. But yeah, it's going to be it's definitely a nip and tuck situation. But yeah, I think you had something there as well, Covey.
Yeah, I feel that first run kind of demonstrated that while it's important, Forsyth kind of showed us that it can go the right way if the cards drop right, but you just can't rely on that. So I think you're going to want to be up front. You're going to want to have some help, kind of a la restrictor plate racing.
Yeah, and there he goes, Craig Forsyth. He's hitting pit road here. They're coming around to 38 to go at the line, lap number 48. So say again, these laps clicking off very quickly on this one. So let's say yeah, we're on 38 to go, already past the halfway point. And again, Nick DeGroot doing everything in his power right now to try to see if he can break that advantage of Henry Bennett of the points championship. Again, it was 9 points entering tonight, and then it went to 11 after the bonus points for the pole position. I say we also know Henry was able to get a lap led over at the beginning, but then to say if Nick's able to get the most lap led, that's going to put that 11 points back to 10. And of course, like we mentioned, gap difference between first and second in the overall race results is 10 points. So the only one really left to play for potentially at this point, I feel like the most lap led is looking pretty good for Nick at this point. Not to jinx it, but that bonus point for the fastest lap of the race could become extremely critical tonight.
Was it 11 points or 12 points? Because
the differential currently is 11 points, with Nick likely showing that he's pushing for the most laps led. That leaves the fastest lap, and pending that they both end up with 0x, no incident points across this race, Henry could go drop that one. The gap would be 11, but even at that, the gap at 11 with Nick showing the pace he's been showing this race we're gonna have to see Henry move forward. Now, I don't want to put any jinxing on anything, but for some reason, a little while back, I feel like I saw Henry getting really high on track. Now I'm talking quite a while ago, and his pace just hasn't wanted to move forward. So I'm not sure if we should look at that right side potentially, but yeah, there's just something. I feel Henry's the guy that's going to be pushing forward right about now if everything's good, which now that I look at it, that gap is still coming down.
I think Henry's just kind of playing the fox. He's probably on a I forget if it's a higher or lower fuel map, but whatever uses less fuel.
Yeah, the lower map.
I think he's just kind of hanging out, saving fuel.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. And we saw him and Matt Wagner. They went the furthest of anybody in that last run. And saying Matt's in the exact same spot as Henry is. So you can see the gap as well between Matt and Charles Teed. So I think, like you said, Steve, again, map 1, that's full rich. These guys may be running map 3, or I feel like 3 is probably the most they can realistically get away with. I think map 5, they'd be losing ground with these guys. But yeah, I'd say maybe, again, trying to really stretch that fuel number to be able to get them in that position to, again, maybe take a really short pit stop on the last one of this race. Because, again, these laps clicking out very quickly right now. We're already down to 34 now to go at the line there. So with Nick DeGroot, David Leclerc playing that leapfrog battle right now. So, again, need to mention Craig Forsyth, Jari Brupacher. Again, they stay out, or they pit early, I should say. They stay on the lead lap. But, again, it's about that 3 3/4 seconds between the two of them. So, I say they are not able to work with one another, unfortunately, to be able to minimize that time loss.
I didn't even consider the fuel map option, guys. That's the old DW12 driver coming out in me, and I apologize for that.
No, and yeah, and you're right. I mean, that's the thing is these cars, I say you of course have these IR18s that you have all these knobs and buttons you can play with the weight jacker, the ARBs, the fuel mappings. Say DW12, it's all in your hands and your feet, and that's all you got.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one because Henry's easily got the talent and the pace to just go and leapfrog these 3 and just keep the pressure on Nick as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I think he's just kind of hanging back, saving fuel.
Now, did the last run, maybe we should have been looking at Henry just a little bit closer on what he was physically doing during the few laps he had over Nick, because there's no question that if nobody's coming in with Nick and he can't immediately get into a situation where he's creating that cycle and that leapfrog pace, and Henry does, stays out there and does, is it going to be able to be made up and then leapfrog to a point where it's out of reach for DeGroot?
Yeah, so that's where he's going to have to be in talks with somebody, I think, for that. So basically for Nick DeGroot, he went in the same lap as David Leclerc. Charles Teed the lap afterwards. For Matt Wagner, Henry Bennett, they pitted 4 laps after Nick and David did, which I'll say at Indianapolis, I mean, that's massive. So you got a 2.5 mile track, so you're basically going 10 miles further than those guys. And actually, look, surprisingly, here comes David Leclerc. He's coming in a lap earlier than Nick DeGroot. I thought for sure we would see them come in together. So pretty interesting there. And you see right now replacing that 50 car is going to be, again, that 5 of Charles Teed just kind of sneaks in out of nowhere again. We saw him do it early in the race. He's going to do it once more here, as you got AJ Hobson sitting there nicely in that 3rd spot as well. So I think we're about to see those cycles kick off one more time.
Nick just keyed up, so I think he's probably pitting.
Yeah, it's about right.
I couldn't see Nick not wanting to be coming in out of the lead. That he's got a streak where he can't be the one coming in. He wants to maximize everything in these situations. It's pretty impressive sometimes. I get a little scared of dealing with him.
Now, saying the one nice thing he has there, it's that risk for reward. You come in by yourself here, but you also have a clean entry, so you can be as aggressive as you need to on the entry. So we'll see now. It's going to be Charles Teed again. He went a lap longer than Nick last time around, but this time he's been drafting for most of this run. So I think we could probably see Charles go for another lap or two. As again, right now we are at 30 to go when we saw Nick DeGroot hit pit road. So again, he's basically 10 laps short to make it to the end. So now I'm going to be really watching to see what can Henry do on his fuel mileage for our championship battle, of course. And then for the race win as well, I mean, Matt Wagner, he's been doing the exact same thing as Henry. So as again, they come out of 4, say these guys, they're not really doing the leapfrog right now. They're pretty much holding line astern here. So that's going to, I think that helps Nick DeGroot, honestly, at this point in the race. As I'm looking at his pit time, it was a pretty good one. So let's jump and find that 89 car. He's actually coming out just in front of Craig Forsyth and David Leclerc. So they're about to pick up his toe, and they'll be able to get that drafting going again.
Yeah, that's
Now-
going to help. That'll help.
Sorry
all
about
three of them. No, it's all right.
Now that we're
Um,
closer to it, we can kind of see. So it was a 25 lap run out of Matt and Henry. So if they can find, I don't think it's ever going to be a cut stop out, but like you said, it can be that shorter pit stop, which is going to be imperative.
Yeah, here comes Charles Teed out of the lead. He's going to make his second to last pit stop, we believe, at this point. That's going to put AJ Hobson into the lead. And yeah, so see, like you said, if they can go another 25, that would put them at lap number 64. And I say with an 85 lap race, I say they would still need to make a stop to the end if my numbers are actually, if they can make it to 64, can they make it to the end without any? Because that would be at what, 21 to go at that point.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to consider here, is that we're right on the edge where they might be able to do something with this.
And I'll say we'll be able to probably get a definite answer right here as we watch Matt Wagner. I think that might be what we're seeing here, is these guys are going full fuel save. And maybe they're able to put some really big field numbers down. So you might be right. So say Henry Bennett, kind of like Steve was almost talking about, kind of the tortoise and the hare, if you will. Let Nick go full send, and when Henry, I think, got put back in the field, said, all right, let's try this. Let me turn that fuel mixture down a little bit. And then he and Matt Wagner kind of on the same strategy here. So, but that's the other thing, is, again, I mean, nothing's certain on these things. So you have to wonder, I mean, how much pace are they having to lose in order to be able to also still make it to the end? So that's going to be the other thing, of course, right now, because here comes AJ Hobson. He's going to hit pit road, put Matt Wagner to the point. But again, if Matt's trying to save fuel here, he may not want to be leading this group. So this puts Matt in a kind of an awkward position as well.
So did you say that Henry Bennett did 25 laps on that last run?
Yeah, we have a pair of 25s between Matt and Henry, and then they're looking at, my goodness, you guys, they just ran 42s. They're absolutely working to push this thing all the way to the end.
Yeah, so I was about to mention that too. They're 0.7 of a second right now slower than Nick DeGroot, David Leclerc, Craig Forsyth. So let's say, but again, right now, the thing is, though, for Matt Wagner, now he's going to be the one that's spurring the field. See, here comes Jim Brooks. He's jumping in as well. I think he pitted a little earlier than those guys. Now Jimmy Dryden, he's trying to stretch his fuel here as we are at 25 to go. So we mentioned they were able to go 25 before, so they might be in that same boat once again. So it's getting very interesting right now. So we've got two different strategies right now. Kind of the lead every lap full rich approach for Nick DeGroot, and now Henry Bennett just trying to sip fuel as little as he can to try to get that fuel number down as low as he can to be able to make it to the end.
Yeah, and he's definitely, I mean, he can make it now. It's less than 25 laps to go.
Yeah, but I think at this point you try to get every ounce you can. I mean, if you can get it down to 22 to go, you go to 22 to go. The only risk, of course, for Henry here is if at some point, if he doesn't come out with a drafting partner, that's where things get a little sketchier. So again, with Indy, again, you don't get lapped. And the thing is, I mean, they've got basically about a full straightaway distance. Well, actually, I should say 3/4 of a lap distance over right now of David Leclerc, Nick DeGroot, who those are the two right now that have kind of been doing that leapfrog battle up front. But while we've been watching this battle, again, the lap times, though, it's been consistently about half a second or more slower for that 11 car and the 007. So it's going to be interesting. It looks like, yep, here they come again. They're going to be coming to 23 to go. So we'll see if that's going to be enough or not for them to make it to the end. Again, they're going to have to hope that they have a good drafting to be able to do so. But so now it's going to put it back now into the hands of the 89 and the 50. It's kind of a cat and mouse game right now here, as we're going to come across next time by. It's going to be 23 to go, and they get across the line here.
How many seconds is it in and out of the pits? Like the whole pit stop?
It's about 37 to 38 seconds. As I say, you're going to see, here they go. Say they're already clearing Matt and Henry here. And saying that's the thing now, is how big of a gap can they put? Again, because the thing is, again, Henry and Matt, they can't go full send here. They're not easily good to go to the end. They're still going to have to save some fuel in this run to be able to coast to the end as well. So, in the field, definitely a lot more spread out this time by.
Nick's going to have to be ahead of these guys by like 37 seconds on his next pit stop.
The total on pit time between those two that just pitted was a 34.1 from Wagner and a 33.9 from Henry. That does not include in and out lowering of delta, so he's going to need 40 seconds. That's coming in for a full load, of course, but a splash is going to be good. But these guys are definitely going to be working together, I think, to close this distance.
And I'm watching right now as you got Henry Bennett, you got Matt Wagner. They're leading this pack behind, so they haven't decided. They're not just falling behind like Jim Brooks or Jimmy Dryden here that are right behind them. I say they're leading again. I think they've been doing a little bit of leapfrogging as well. So right now, this is burning fuel. They are trying very hard to get back to the draft of these guys in front, because right now, A.J. Hobson, he's about 2.3 seconds ahead. So now you wonder again, we said they pitted at 20 with 23 to go. We've seen them go 25 to go, but the whole time they were in the draft, they were saving. Now it looks like they're kind of putting the aggression back down. Does this now take them potentially out of the window to make it to the end? As again, you see, and they're continuing to do that leapfrog approach up here.
Yeah, that's a very good question, because it's going to come down to two options, I guess. Or three. One, they have to slow down and save fuel. Another is they catch the pack ahead and then slow down and save fuel. And the third one is they just run as hard as they can. And when they'll have to pit again, and so will everybody else, but they'll just need a splash, and everyone else is going to have to do like a full tank.
Yeah, these guys are putting the lap times down now. Henry's last lap was a 41.23, best out of anyone on track last lap.
Yeah, about 2/10, almost 2 to 3/10 quicker than the leaders. But again, I mean, I feel like at this point there's no fuel save here though, Kobe. So again, I feel like I thought at this point you would see the 11 and the 007. They would maybe just roll in behind that 51 of Jim Brooks, for example. Let him be the one to kind of just lead them. Again, I didn't think they would be pushing this hard. I thought they'd just, okay, you know what? Yeah, we're 5 seconds behind, but we don't think any of them can make it, so let's just roll back and let's just save here. So I'm a little surprised to see this aggression right now out of these two drivers here, that 11 and the 007 of Henry Bennett, Matt Wagner. Again, you've got two, of course, different situations here. Matt, of course, is going to go for the race win. Henry going for the championship tonight. That being said, though, of course, Matt's still opting to try to see if he can win that championship himself. Let's say if things go right for him. Say he was 20 points out of it going into it. So you can never know when it's going to happen. But right now, say they are closing the gap to the guys up front here. But it's been, I mean, they pitted on 54-55 here. So, I mean, they've spent a lot of time really chasing these guys back down, over 5 laps now at this point. I mean, I just feel like, honestly, I don't know if they can recover that much fuel burn.
I don't think they burn it unless they could, because they know the guys ahead got to come in. So I think that if they know they can go up and start to get this draft, I feel like Wagner's RPMs have already come down looking at his lap. 41 flat, which, completely out of the throttle here. I think he's more than happy to just bide his time now. I think these guys might be good. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to say. Right now we're on 17 to go. As again, right now up front, we're still continuing that leapfrog. It's been pretty much Nick de Groot, David Leclerc doing that leapfrogging. You just saw Craig Forsyth. He just hit pit road there for his final stop of the race. We saw Yari Brewpacker pit just a little earlier there. He's right on the tail. You can see him there as they enter 3, right on the tail end of the lead lap still as they run. But again, though, let me double check here. I think that's maybe James Ledver. Oh, yes, he's the one spinning on the apron. This could change everything here. But he's off the track, so I think race director is going to let it go, stay green. That could have completely changed the complexion of this race, but we stay green here as it's going to continue to be Nick de Groot, David Leclerc switching back and forth up front. And looking at the pit stop times, I believe it's going to be pretty soon, if I'm not mistaken, for these top 2 to make their final stop here.
Yeah, it looks like if they're putting down the same pace as they have been, which I think is completely feasible to think, we should be seeing them in 4 to 5 laps.
Yep, that's right. And they'll only need 10 laps worth of fuel, so that'll make for a quicker pit stop, but they're still going to be way behind the rest of these. They'll be way behind Matt and Henry.
Yeah, saying right now, that last time by, Nick DeGroot ran his best lap of the race of 41.06, but I say nowhere near the fastest lap of the race. Again, I believe right now it's that 40.54, I believe it was, of Jimmy Drynan. So I'll say again, when you need a couple cars in front of you to really get that big slipstream effect. As I say, he's going to clear. I should say, actually, David's going to clear, but they're getting into a dangerous spot here because they're about to start getting into the wake of that 88 and the 49 cars. So I have to be very aware of right now of when they make these moves and what their car are going to handle grip wise as they're approaching that 88 and the 49 here in probably just another lap or so.
And they can really pit any time now. I mean, I don't know that it's going to change it that much, but I would pit sooner rather than later, because the longer they stay out, the more they're helping Matt Wagner and Henry Bennett.
Oh, it's getting dicey though up front right now. You see, it looks like I think Nick's having to roll up. We're going to go 3 wide through 4 there. But yeah, things getting very dicey as they're trying to get around Michael Spell, so it's going to really bottle up the field here a little bit. I say everybody's going to have to kind of stay on their toes right now. But right now, let's say it's David Leclerc who's still holding on to that spot again, using the benefit of the draft right now of that car of Jari Brupacher ahead of him. But like I said, now Nick, again, he hasn't been able to get those bonus points that he's been wanting to these last couple of laps. But again, I think he's probably done enough to kind of lock that in. I say, obviously don't know for certain. But yeah, things definitely looking kind of positive for the 89 car here on the bonus point side for the lap sled. But I say we still got a lot of potentials here towards the end of this race because we do not know what those fuel numbers are looking like for those guys behind. But like you said, though, they've really dropped the pace back off once they got to that lead pack.
And David Leclerc just pitted, so that's one less person for Nick DeGroot to be drafting with.
Yeah, well, he's gonna pick up Jari Brupacher here. So I say he's actually gonna kind of lose David, but he's gonna pick up Jari here. So right now, say he's got the lead, he's got a lap car in front that he's gonna steal some draft off of. But like I said, at this point, I mean, you saw Matt, you saw Henry, they've been able to regain the draft of this group. So now really the question is, do they have enough to make it to the end without having to stop? Did they maybe burn too much fuel in that quest to chase that group down? Because you can see, I mean, they're really falling off the back of this pack here. As here comes Nick DeGroot. He's going to make that final stop now. And that's going to put it now to Charles Teed as our race leader. So we're going to watch this pit stop though as well for Nick as we switch back over to Gary for Charles. I'm sorry, for just a moment. But I want to see for Nick here, does he maybe try some strategy, or is he going to go with 4 tires and fuel just enough to get to the end? Looking for David Leclerc. He had a 4-tire stop. So we'll see if that car hops up on the jacks. And it looks like it's going to be just a splash of fuel for the 89 car. So he's going to go with that strategy. It's going to be 5 seconds in the pits here. But he's got to be careful because it's going to be a little dicey here getting back up to speed. But easily going to be way ahead of the lead pack now.
But also way behind the lead pack.
Yeah, exactly right. So, I mean, there's no pressure for getting put a lap down now. He's got a lot of time ahead of Craig Forsyth. But yeah, right now the leader is AJ Hobson right behind Jari Brupacher. AJ pitted on lap 59, so about 3 laps before Henry and Matt. And saying honestly, this is actually the best case scenario for Matt and Henry because now neither of them have to be that car to break the draft and lead that group up front. He can just basically, I think at this point, if you're the 11 car, you just kind of put out a what do you call it, a sail here behind that 49 car, and you just use him for all he's worth. You have to wonder again, Jim Brooks as well. He pitted 2 laps before Henry and Matt. Can he go that 25 laps that we saw Henry and Matt do earlier, or is he going to have to make a late splash as well? Because that could be also one of the top 3 potentials for the race win here tonight.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Henry Bennett is probably going to be content to finish second behind Matt Wagner or Jim Brooks. And I think Matt Wagner is going to try like hell to win the race. Regardless of what it does in the points.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think Matt, I'll say if you can't win the title, you want to do the next best thing to win the race. So right now, Again, so for basically on the strategy side of things, the top 6 drivers have yet to make their potential final stop of the race. 7th on back have made their final stop of the race. Nick DeGroot right now the highest of those that has made that pit stop. Unfortunately, he is off on his own right now in that 89 car. But right now you see the top 4 here in this lead pack. They are right now the ones that we'll be watching for. I don't believe AJ Hobson, especially now that where he is on track, I don't think he's going to be making it to the end. And the other thing I'm watching is Jim Brooks. He's really dropped off the back here. I think he's just using Michael Spell now as his fuel man. Let's say right now Michael, I believe he pitted on lap 61, so Michael may be good to the end. Not sure, but I think Jim using him for just all the drafts he possibly can get. I say it may not be a race-winning move, but maybe give him a top 3 finish to finish off the season.
I think we're going to have to see something pretty extravagant happen here. Just riding on board with Henry Bennett and around Matt Wagner there. They're basically off the throttle through tunnel turns and things like that. Their last run was a 23-lap run. So, I mean, things are tight. However, he has this thing locked up, so what he needs to do is basically make sure he makes that fuel number and get there, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll say then the other question, of course, is their speeds right now, and the lap times aren't too bad. They've dipped actually now into the 42s. And right now looking to see where Nick DeGroot's running. He's this last time by, he was about a half a second quicker, but again, he's got basically 20. Actually, it looks like about 30 seconds. It looks like roughly to be able to get to AJ, Matt, and Henry. So I'll say there's no realistic way of him getting there, unfortunately. So. At this point he's going to have to hope for either a timely caution, because again there are no green light checkers, so that had to come out sooner than later, or just hope that these guys maybe miscalculated their fuel mileage. So you see there goes AJ Hobson. He's going to make his final stop of the race, but now that puts Matt Wagner again. He's in a little bit of a treacherous spot right now. He's now leading Henry Bennett, and again he's in that outlier spot or the championship. I mean, I think if I'm Matt Wagner, I try to see if you can get that 007 car to run out of fuel, because maybe if you get him to run out and you still finish up high enough over Nick DeGroot, I mean, there's still a mathematical way he can try to steal this one away from Henry.
That would be something.
I wouldn't put that past Wagner. I raced with him in a couple different leagues, and he knows how to play a long-term mental game, and if he's just dragging Henry at just the perfect pace to get Henry to run out, that would be some sort of next level Inception type of stuff, I think.
Yeah, it'd be some 4D chess action going on behind the wheel of that 11 car. So I mean, we'll see. We got 4 to go already here, so I'll say it's all coming down really quickly here. I see you saw Henry there try to peek, I think, a little bit of draft. I believe that's off of Bud Steele there in the 6 machine. So I'll say, again, kind of add a little bit of a wrench to everything here. He's going to slot in right between the two. Let me see. Henry had to make a quick reaction there to try to get around Bud, but actually can't do it here. He's going to have to try to do it one more time out of turn number 4 and still not able to get by. So actually now Henry's going to have a lap car between himself and our race leader of Matt Wagner. As you see, actually, yeah, you look at the pace these guys are dropping off. You see Bud passing these guys without any troubles right now. So these guys are just saving every drop of fuel right now. Last time by, they were in the 42-second bracket. Jim Brooks, he's all the way back in the 46-second bracket in that numbers 51 machine. So he is going absolute full fuel save. And I mean, it's really honestly at this point, the way these guys are backing off in 3rd position on back, I don't think it's out of the picture for Nick to actually chase these guys down on merit here.
The gap is 27.5 still to the group, which with these guys dropping off of that much pace, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, but there's only 2 laps left, so.
Yeah, we got 2 to go here, and you see Henry right behind the 11 car yet again. So I say at this point, it's all about the numbers. Unfortunately, we don't get to see what's left on their dashboards. It'd be so much fun if we could actually see what they had remaining in their cars. But now you see actually Matt Wagner, he's going to roll out of it here. He's going to let Henry by, it looks like.
Yeah, so you guys were right. He was trying to do that. Sorry to interrupt, Kyle. He was trying to do that. Wagner was definitely trying to pull him along and get him to burn a bit too much. No question.
So now the question is, does Matt have enough, or is Matt having to back it down just for himself to make it to the end? We'll see. I don't think he's going to duck in at 1 to go. He's not. So it looks like we're going to get this white flag here. So now the question is, does Henry Bennett have enough fuel to make it to the end to try to get the win and the championship in style? or is there anything left in the tank for Matt Wagner? Because you can see he's dropped way off the pace there in the 11 car. Henry Bennett still looking real strong here. We're going to hop on and listen to him in that number 007 car. So maybe he's trying to just get as far ahead as he can. That way, if he has to coast, if he needs to, he can. Because right now, Nick DeGroot just now crossing the start-finish line here.
But yeah, what killed Matt Wagner was all those laps they were drafting together with Matt leading.
Yeah,
and nobody ahead of him to draft off of.
It's not going to be any fuel drama here tonight. It's going to be Henry Bennett getting the win, using some fuel strategy, but getting the win and the championship tonight. It's going to be Matt Wagner just coasting, I think, here to finish in second. But it looks like it's not going to be, not going to be the result he wanted for the championship. But it looks like coming out of 4, Nick DeGroot's going to be able to snag a 3rd place after a few drivers ran out of fuel on that final lap. So I'd say he's going to go over that long strategy to get 3rd. And we've got a battle here for that 4th position. Looks like Charles T just going to win out over David Leclerc and Craig Forsyth. AJ Hobson right there in 7th. And then you see Jim Brooks here just coasting ever so slowly across the line. Just going to beat out Bud Steele by a couple seconds as he's just going to drill right into the back of him. That's not going to feel very good in the motion rig for that 51 car. But yeah, and here's Henry Bennett, though. He played that number to perfection because look at here. He is coasting down the front stretch here. Not enough fuel, I don't think. We'll see if maybe he's trying to save something to do a celebration. But I think that car is completely out of fuel.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh, we had a little bit of everything here tonight, guys. Let's say we saw the fuel mileage, we saw the strategies on trying to lead points, get bonus points, lead laps. But in the end, let's say it's going to be the fuel mileage here tonight that Henry Bennett was able to out-strategize some of these guys. And let's listen in. Yeah, that car is silent. I think he is completely out of fuel. But there's not a much better place to run out of fuel than at the finish line here at Indianapolis. So before we go through the interviews, we'll have a chat with some of our drivers here tonight. We're going to go, or I should say, before we go through that, we're going to go over our points for tonight. Which is going to be Henry Bennett winning by 6.5 seconds over Matt Wagner. Unfortunately, Nick DeGroot finishes in 3rd. Going to, I believe, finish 2nd in points. Maybe actually falls to 3rd Matt Wagner. I'm not sure on that one. We'll have to wait for the points to cycle through. But just a valiant effort by Nick going for all the laps led. Basically went full aggression. But Henry and Matt, they had a little bit of fuel strategy up their sleeves. Then you got Charles T just holding up David Leclerc there for 4th. And then David 5th. Craig 6th. Then you have AJ Hobson, Jim Brooks, Yari Brubacher, and Bud Steele in 9th and 10th. The last of those on the lead lap. And then you have Jimmy Drynan, Jeff Heisong, James Ledford, Michael Spell, John DeMatteo, and Gary Corley rounding out our 16 drivers taking part in tonight. So with that, this is always the toughest part, I feel like, is where you have to interview somebody who did an awesome job all race long, but unfortunately just didn't get the result they needed to be able to get the winner, get the championship in this case. But we got to pull in our number 89 of Nick DeGroot. So we're going to drag him on in here and have a few words. But Nick, that was an awesome job tonight. It was so much fun watching. We were talking about what you were doing, and then you just kind of, or what you maybe should do or try to do, and it was like you were listening to us. Maybe you were. I'm not. So you don't have to give away secrets, but I mean the leapfrogging to try to get the laps led. We were noticing that sometimes you kind of you'd make the leapfrog on the back stretch. They would get you back before the line. So it was like, okay, well, he's going to have to reestablish when he passes them. So and then we would literally see the next lap. You'd ride on the backstretch, then make the move off 4, get that lap led to be able to try to get those bonus points there. I mean, it was obvious you were definitely focusing on trying to get those bonus points right off the bat there. Unfortunately, of course, losing the pole by that 3,000th made your job a little tougher. But I mean, yeah. How much were you having to work there to try to kind of, okay, I can get this here, and then try to work those numbers?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I was positioning myself to try to lead as many laps as possible. I was even trying to get fastest lap there by laying back a few times or whenever we came up on lap cars. But my strategy for this race was decided in qualifying when I lost that pole. Because if I'd won that pole, then I would have been all in on that fuel save strategy with Henry and Matt. But without that pole and with Henry getting it, I just doing the math in my head, I needed to get those bonus points for leading the laps and then hope for a yellow and then win the race, because if I had just saved fuel, didn't lead all those laps, and won, and Henry was second, he wins by 1 point. So that's where my mind was. I'm like, do I want to try to win the race, or do I want to do what's going to give me the best shot at the title? So that's what I did. Unfortunately, it didn't work, but hey, we still got a top 3 out of it, and I stand by it. I think it was the right move. Only thing I could have done better was 3 1,000s in qualifying, like you said.
Nick, at what point did you realize that Henry was kind of snookering you on fuel mileage?
Oh, I knew from the beginning. From the moment I was going over my head. I'm like, should I say fuel? Should I go? I was over on the pace lap coming to the green on that final restart way back when, back on lap 20 or 15, whatever it was. I was like, all right, what's the pros and cons here? And then I'm like, yep, I just got to go for it. Try to get all these bonus points and hope there's yellow. And I thought we were going to get one because we had a car in turn 3 sitting in the middle of the track, but a couple cars passed him, race control didn't call it, and then he rolled down the track, so he got out of the way. But that was my one chance. I was hoping. I definitely got on the mic and started screaming, "Rocking in 3, rocking in 3." It didn't work.
Lobbying.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you got to do, and we saw it too. You're right. I said we saw that in 3, and like you said, though, so we didn't see it when it happened. We saw him kind of down towards the apron by the time I think the other cars got close enough. So that's definitely been something that's really changed, I think, as well. The aspect of, especially of this league as well. I know this one, I think one of the first years you've run here full time, but I mean, you can attest to that as well, because there's times where you'll have, if you just do the iRacing yellows, let's say, versus having a race control, it really kind of changes how you might view or how you might approach a potential caution or things like that. So with race control, it definitely seems to tend to lead to more green flag racing. I mean, was that something that, how did you feel like, did that come into play at all throughout the season? It seemed like there's a few races it did, but then other times it seemed like it really let the strategies play out though as well.
Yeah, very early in the season, I realized, okay, this is a different dynamic. A track where you think there's going to be a bunch of yellows or even a couple yellows, there just isn't. Because, for example, that incident in 3, that would have been an iRacing caution, because it would have been like, oh, there's a car in the track, it spun yellow. But with admin cautions, they look at it, they see, is it in danger? Are other cars in danger? Is he out of the way? And then they call it, which, like you said, leads to these greener races, and unfortunately more fuel mileage races, which I'm not a fan of. I like leading, I like racing, but it's part of it. And Henry played it well today, and just got to remember that next season. Just these races tend to lean green, and you got to kind of focus on that, especially early in the race, so you can save now and race later, as Henry was doing.
I'm sorry to butt in, just be the teammate devil's advocate here. You mentioned about kind of making the decision to lead all those laps. You knew you were going to be up against the fuel window, but knowing the competition in this with Wagner's and Teeds and Forsyths that are up there in points and contending for that, would the winning strategy and kind of knowing he was doing that, was there ever an option you were going to do that, or did you think you had the saving potential, or don't have the saving potential to get there?
I think I would have had the saving potential, but I needed to do it at the point Henry was doing it, like from the get-go. Once that restart happened, I also hi Team Owner, but once that restart happened, I just kind of started going. I kind of put myself in a box, and there was no turning back from the decision. Just had to go hard. I mean, you look at Wagner; he was saving for almost that entire time, just like Henry, and he didn't make it. So it was still really close to them. They had to save, what was it, 5-6 laps, which is quite a task. But yeah, they made it work. I just decided, you know what, and you know how I am. I'm like, I'm going to race. I'm going to hope for a yellow. I'm going to race and hope for a yellow. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, it was, like I said, it was definitely a great effort by you to everything you did. And I mean, there was times where we weren't certain they would be able to make it to the end, because they had to hustle real hard just to catch back up to you guys, which honestly was a surprise for me. Just knowing the delta on the fuel saving, I really thought they were just going to roll in behind the guys with you. That came out with them, but yeah. So sure enough, they wind up going. I say, apologies for my background noise. My daughter's playing with toys. But yeah, so I was surprised to see him really kind of charge back after you there at the end on that last run. So was that something you were noticing as well? Maybe thinking, all right, is there a chance they may be trying to push a little too hard? Maybe they'll burn themselves out.
Well, 100%. That was actually part of my reasoning, just going as hard as I was. Like, we were swapping every lap, and they were really aggressive swaps. I was trying to keep the pace of that front pack up. So maybe, just maybe, when Henry and Wagner pit, they end up separated from us because good luck saving when you're by yourself. So that was another thing that was rolling in my head and hoping we could do. But no, almost every time they were up there. There was one time they had to kind of charge up, and that might have been right where Wagner lost it, because I think Wagner was leading that charge back to the pack with Henry following him, and he was the one who ran out at the end. So yeah, that was my hope, that we could get separated from him, but just didn't work out. Wasn't in the cards.
Yeah, I mean, it was still overall, though, I mean, an amazing season for you. Like I say, Kobe and I were talking to, is say obviously we're all familiar with those DW12s. Obviously, a lot more buttons and knobs to turn and play with over the course with these cars. So I say that's where the DW12s maybe suits your style more, where you don't get to play with all those things. You just kind of pedal down and go full send. I'll say with these, obviously, a lot more potential strategies involved as well, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And heading towards the end of that race there, when I pitted, I just decided to take no tires, because if you remember back earlier this year, there was that dark horse race that Jimmy Drennan and Charles Teed hosted, and I had won that for the $100 prize. And I was like, okay, I was thinking back to that. I'm like, I took no tires at the end. It saved me a couple seconds on my pit stop. There was a very similar situation like this, and I was like 5 seconds in front of them. So that came back to me, and I was like, let's do it again. And thankfully, I didn't have to battle anybody at that. I was just kind of cruising, passing cars that were running out. So that was it was nice to have one part of my strategy work out, you know?
Yeah, and it was a good call, because we saw that. So yeah, at the end, I say, because it was definitely a bit of a no holds barred there between Charles, David, Craig, and AJ at the end there. So you had that nice little clean 4 seconds head, not having to stress about all that. But just, I mean, awesome season. I'll say an awesome job tonight as well, Nick. It's been a lot of fun watching you battle out with Henry and Nat and company all season long. So before we let you go, though, definitely want to give you a chance to any thanks and shout outs you'd like to give for the third place tonight, and of course your overall the great season.
Yeah. Also, I believe I won the Clean Driver Award, so I just want to throw that out there.
I believe you did as well. Yeah, so I'll be getting in touch with you here probably in a little bit.
I won something, but yeah, it's good first season in this league. I think we won 3 races. Second in points to Henry Bennett, of all people. He's one hell of a driver to finish second to. But yeah, I got to thank motorsport.com, CoveyMoore.com, everybody at Factory Back Motorsports, all the sponsors on this car, including Cowboy Ship, especially. Cowboy Ship's the main sponsor. Got to thank them. And everybody else that supports this team. Sorry, I forgot the rest at the moment. Please don't fire me, Kobe.
I think he'll probably let it slide. I think with the clean racing that you've had all season long, I think he'll let that one slide. But he'll make you own up to it tomorrow night if you get that top 3 interview.
Yeah, there we go.
Thanks, guys. Let me butt in here for a sec, Nick. I want to say congrats on the second place championship points finish, and it's been a real pleasure watching your charging racing style and your cleanliness and respectfulness out there. You really pushed Henry Bennett hard, and that made it really entertaining for us.
Yeah, I gotta echo that. It's your ferocity in competition in these kind of clutch moments always impresses me. So it's always cool to watch and get to watch from these guys' point of view. So good job, dude.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for the kind words. Look forward to next season. Hopefully, we can deny Henry getting 3 in a row.
Definitely the skills here has definitely stepped up a bunch, so it'll be fun to see. So just like I said, just a couple weeks off, and we'll be right back to it again towards the end of September. So enjoy the bit of a break, and then we'll be seeing you here in just a few weeks, man. So yeah, just great job though tonight, Nick, and look forward to seeing what you got for us next season.
Yes, sir. Thanks again.
All right, so with that, we got to bring in our second place finisher. Again, finishing on fumes, I believe, and that's going to be the 11 of Matt Wagner. Going to get second place tonight in the race, third in the championship. Man, Matt, we were wondering, all right, is there any way you can maybe snooker Henry into burning a little bit too much fuel? Maybe he runs out, and depending on where Nick and Henry shake out, say maybe steals you into that top spot in the championship tonight. So it didn't quite pan out the way you wanted it to, but I mean, it was. I never thought that fuel mileage was going to be possible, but say somehow you and Henry were able to work those numbers and really save there at the end, and even on fumes you're able to grab that second spot tonight.
Yeah, with me going in front of him, and we were talking after the race. He had he said in liters, he had about 5 liters more than me. Well, I have no in gallons toward about 3 laps to go, and I was pretty much running on fumes. So he pretty much had like 3/4 of a gallon more than I did. So yeah, that hurt, but I wouldn't change a thing. It's still a tremendous effort me trying to save fuel.
Yeah, that had a little alien for you there, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. Well, I wouldn't change a thing, dude. Steve.
I loved it. I was watching you. First of all, for the longest time, I didn't think there was any way you guys were going to be able to make it on one less pit stop. So you fooled the heck out of me with that one. Then when I finally realized you were going to do it, I'm watching both of you guys, and Cody mentioned that you were rolling out of the throttle in the turns, and we could see that your lap times were a lot slower. It was obvious what you were doing, and I thought, Matt usually likes to really charge, but if he's working this hard at saving fuel, then I think he's going to have something for Henry at the end. So I was really surprised actually that you ran out of fuel. Not totally surprised because I know you ended up being the leader of the two of you a lot for too many laps without somebody to draft off of, but still, I really thought you had it worked out.
Yeah, you're right. That's what killed it. And I had switched back and forth on my maps to try and keep pace just a little bit, try to catch up to Yari there. And I think all in all, I think that's what did it.
And so I got to chime in on that part. So after the last stop, obviously you came out a couple of seconds behind Nick and company and such. Before their last stop, I should say. You came out a little bit behind them. So what was the decision there to really for you and Henry to kind of leapfrog to get back to that main draft instead of just maybe riding behind? I think you came out right in front of Jim and maybe it was Jimmy Drynan. Why not just roll back behind those guys and just makes absolute sure that you're good to go to the end on fuel instead of trying to charge hard and then have to save as aggressively as you did at the end? Because it seemed like that also really put you guys right on the absolute edge of making it to the end.
Well, number one, we were in communication in the chat, and those 3 guys up there, we wanted to keep up with them and not be back with the pack there. And all what's that word I'm looking for? Stay with the lead group in case something happens, pretty much.
10-4. It was pretty wild to say. I honestly thought you guys were going to run yourselves out of fuel, where you had to at least take a splash to make it to the end. So I was getting nervous for the both of you. Once we saw how far you're able to go, but when we saw you guys basically going full rich, trying to catch that group for I think it was about 5 laps or so. I was wondering at that point, was that enough to basically run you out of fuel to get to the end? But so obviously you didn't get quite the numbers you wanted to at the end on the fuel side of things to be able to have a chance to fight Henry there at the end. But that was just, again, great strategy call. You guys were putting on a really good show throughout the course of the race. And it was one of those things, like I said, you had 2 approaches to take. And tonight looked like the fuel save wound up working out for you, grabbing the second place tonight, grabbing the third in the points as well. Just hats off, Matt, for an awesome season all season long. Going up against those guys like a Henry and a Nick, T, David, Craig, all those guys. Week in, week out, you guys have such tough competition. So to get top 3 is obviously no small feat. So definitely want to give you the floor, though. Any thanks and shouts I'd like to give for that result tonight and this season.
I'd like to thank your dad actually for making me one of the admins of this indie series and watching it grow week in, week out, watching these guys improve every week. Actually, just shout out to everybody. I'm just really thankful for the guys I'm racing with. Very nice and a good group. I'm just really blessed right now.
Well, enjoy this one, man. Well-earned finish, well-earned season result as well. As I enjoy the little bit of a break you have over here on Tuesdays, and of course we'll be getting full send back into the season in just a few weeks in September. So enjoy it while you can, and then we'll look forward to seeing you go after it again in just a few more weeks here.
Matt, it's been a pleasure watching you all season, and looking forward to next one.
Yeah, hell of a good season, Matt. It's cool to get to see you from this side as well. Good work today. Didn't think you could save like that.
Oh, thank you, Kobe. I appreciate it. Steve, it's like I said, I say this every time I get a chance to chat with you. It's been a pleasure.
All
Thanks,
right.
buddy.
Enjoy this one, Matt, and I'll say Kobe and I'll be seeing you tomorrow, and then I'll say we'll be seeing you again over here on Tuesdays in just a few more weeks or so. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to you again soon.
See you guys. Have a good one.
All right. With that, we've got one person left to talk to, and he found a way to make it to the end. Everybody else that tried saving was sputtering there at the end, and it's gonna be us. I don't know if there's a formal nickname or not for you, Henry. I don't know if we want to go with King Henry or not, but man, I mean, first off, you got about probably 5-6 plus podiums that you owe us anyway. But I say able to cap it off in style tonight with the win, with the championship. How stressful was that one for you? Because I mean, we saw Nick kind of going full send, doing the leapfrog, getting the laps led. Obviously, you kind of struck first with the pole position by the 0.003 of a second. But then from there, say once you kind of got mired back a little bit in about 4th, 5th spot, it looked like you kind of just went to full cruise control. I mean, how difficult is that to kind of keep that mindset for almost the full course of a race?
Oh, that was incredibly stressful. I'm just really glad it's finished now. But yeah, because the field is so competitive and everyone's driving flat out that you just can't lose concentration for a second. Just like one corner, one bad corner, and like even when I'm fuel saving and you lose the pack and then you've got no one to draft from, and then your whole strategy's gone, and you've got no chance. So like you just cannot lose concentration for a second. And yes, pole position was great to have, because I knew that would mean if Nick won, I would still win the championship if I came second with the points difference. So yeah, that was incredibly close as well. Yeah, it was really tough. But yeah, really happy.
Well, he pushed you really hard all season, but especially tonight. And I'm wondering, like, when during the race did you realize that you actually could make it on one less stop?
I think while we were under the second caution, after we'd made the yellow flag pit stops, I saw there were 69 laps to go, and so 3 stints of 23 laps, which is doable if you've got a draft and using the fuel maps. But it's difficult. You have to have draft for those entire stints. And yeah, the first stint, I don't think I was saving enough. I was pushing too hard to keep up with the cars ahead of me. So I actually ran out before pit lane, and I just had to coast it into my box. But yeah, the stints after that, I managed to save just a tiny bit more, and made it life a little bit easier for me. But yeah, when you're saving like that, you have to be planning for it right from the beginning, really.
Yeah, we were on pins and needles watching you guys. We didn't know until really close to the end that you guys were actually going to make it.
Yeah, I feel bad for Matt. The only reason I was behind him was because of that first green flag stop. I had to lift and let him by. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made it to that stop. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, I had no reason to let him by before that. But that meant I could draft off of him, which is good for me, but really bad for him. So yeah, I think that was the only difference between us tonight is the track position.
And that was good strategy on your part.
Yeah, like I say, kind of forced. But I mean, I was kind of surprised he didn't try and get back behind me. But I think most of the last 2 stints we had people ahead of us to save from. But yeah, with him ahead of me, it just made life a tiny bit easier.
Yeah, that's what we were kind of commenting towards that last run, where especially I mentioned to Matt as well. Say the one thing I was really nervous about was you had to push so hard to catch that lead pack again before they made their final stops of the race, and so I was worried that might actually pull you guys back out of your fuel window. But then say after they made those final stops and we saw Matt was kind of leading you around a little bit, there's a couple points where like, well, is it worth in Matt's interest to maybe try to run you out of fuel by either letting you go or, of course, trying to push a little harder to kind of make you burn some extra, just in the off chance that maybe if Nick falls a little bit enough behind, and, of course, if you have to maybe take that late splash or anything like that, I'd say that could definitely throw a wrench into things. But going back to that, yeah, so that run where you guys had to chase the leaders back down from about 3-4 seconds, I think it was. Was there any point at which you were nervous that might be enough to pull you back out of the fuel window, or did you feel like, based on pitting, I think it was at 23 to go, that you'd be able to make that time back or that fuel back up?
I mean, the 23 lap stints were always difficult, even when you've got draft for the entire. So you really need draft for the entire 23 laps to make it comfortable. But the option was either work to catch that pack or drop back to find someone else to draft off of, and there's no guarantee that they're going to pass you. So you might be dropping back and losing time for no benefit. So yeah, we had to really work hard and work efficiently to get back into draft range. Otherwise, the strategy was completely over, and it was stressful. I think a few more laps, 2 or 3 more laps of swap drafting, burning full fuel, and it probably would have taken us out of that window. So yeah, like I say, that's what makes it so stressful. Is every single lap, every corner counts, especially when you're on a strategy like ours.
Did you need to be with that many other cars to be able to save the fuel that you needed to?
I think as long as there's 2 cars ahead of you, you can save as much as you need to. If there's 1 car ahead, then it's a bit more difficult to save quite as much, but it's easier to keep close to them. So, but in fact, with like a group of 5 or more cars, you actually have to work harder to keep up with them because of the dirty air. So at times you have to kind of sacrifice saving fuel to make sure you're keeping up with them, and then save fuel once you're right on people's gearboxes.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I said, it was nerve-wracking for us. I can only imagine for you behind the wheel as well. So, I mean, unfortunately, as I said, we've missed a few interviews with you, but I'll say 4 wins this season. Obviously, tonight getting the win and the championship to kind of cap it all off. I say definitely these guys were definitely making it as difficult as they could for you. So, that being said, though, Henry, I mean, awesome job all season long. Definitely want to give you an opportunity here. I know you've got some people that help you out and everything like that, so definitely wanted to give you the floor for thanks and shouts for the win tonight and, of course, that championship.
I think first of all and foremost, I want to thank everyone that takes part in the league. The driving by everyone this season has been brilliant. We've had a few races that have gone green the entire way. Like even tonight, it's just a couple of cautions up at the start and really long green runs, and that's what makes the races really fun, is when you can work with strategy and it's not just pack racing or down to luck. So yeah, massive thanks to everyone that takes part, and especially guys like Nick and Matt. Really, been great competitors this season, and Matt last season as well is just a really strong driver. Does everything right. Just missed out really the past 2 seasons on luck. And yeah, thanks to Jim and the other admins for organising everything and creating the league. Thanks to you guys for broadcasting. Yeah, love to watch them back. Like I always say, I find out so much more about the race from watching it back than taking part in it. Yeah, thanks to my team, Powerslide Motorsports. Yeah, thanks to Andrew Wood for joining the league and making me have to push far harder to beat him. But yeah, I'm sure there's loads of people I'm forgetting, but that's all for now.
Henry, I want to say, first of all, congrats on the championship and the win, and a great season. And man, you came in here and you set the bar high for these guys, and a number of them have really responded. We got some new guys like Nick DeGroot who have come in and really pushed you, and the racing from all you guys has just been tremendous and fun to watch, and you did a hell of a job.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, really appreciate that.
Yeah, I want to echo Steve's sentiments there, Henry. It's really cool to watch a guy like you kind of run through these leagues. You really bring the level up. They say high tides raise all ships, and I think you're making everybody better around you. So you deserve this championship, and look forward to seeing how you push guys next year.
Thanks, Govi. yeah, want you in this league more often as well.
10-4, about 10-4.
Yeah, so we'll try to pull some strings. I'll talk to Nick, see if we can pull. Say he was actually. So that being said, he was really good in the booth. But yeah, so it'd be fun to get him behind the wheel. Say give you some more challenges as well. So, but yeah, just awesome job though tonight, Henry, and all season long, of course. But yeah, so I know you've been really working hard on the back end as well with this league with Dark Horse, trying to help him out, make some great setups also. So yeah, so hopefully enjoy a little bit of a break before we get back full into it again in a few more weeks. But yeah, just congrats again though, Henry, and well deserved. And so I hope you enjoy this one.
Thanks, Gal. Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, so that is our race winner and champion in that 007, Henry Bennett. As like Nick mentioned, he's going to try to see if he can find a way to kind of get him off of that podium, if you will, and try to get him off the top step of that podium and see if we can get him next season. And like we talked about, I mean, it's not hard pressed that'll happen. I mean, we've got some really great competition in here. Say if we get Andrew Wood in full time next season, we saw what he was able to do in the races he made. Like I said, I think it's just going to step that competition up even more. But Steve, I don't know how it's already been a full season. I feel like we kind of blinked and we got to playoffs and blink again, and we crowned a champion here tonight.
Yeah, it definitely went by quickly. And just to echo something I've said about these guys before, I'm so impressed with the quality of the racing, the respect that they show each other, and just the courtesy. It's a great league and a great bunch of drivers, and of course I love working with you. I thank Kobe for joining us tonight and helping us with the statistician duties, and I'm looking forward to next season.
Yeah, I say it's going to be quicker than I realized. I believe for this series, we're going to be starting back up on September 28th. And it's going to be a little different this season. We're going to be doing 11 races instead of the normal 12 just because we want to try to get the season in before the Christmas break. I think that will also include the Tuesday off of the week of Thanksgiving. So we'll have that week between the 16th and the 30th off. So the 23rd of November we'll have that one off. But then other than that, we'll be running straight through until December 14th. And then we'll be crowning a champion on that night as well. So schedules, all that are getting kind of finalized and everything. But basically, we're going to have an 11 race season. Details on playoffs and how many races of the playoffs and all that yet to come. But what you can know is it's going to be the IR18s. We'll still be here. They can't get rid of us. It's that easy. And yeah, like you said though, Steve, I mean, Covey, like I said, you kind of wanted to check it out, see how things were. And like I said, you were spot on right off the bat, so really appreciate you joining us here as well. So it's a lot of fun to have you in the booth and be able to kind of give some things that we may not be able to catch. But yeah, I say selfishly though, at the same time too, I think I want to see you on track as well. Because we've seen you on the road courses, we know what you can do there, but it might be time to kind of play with some buttons and dials and get your oval action on too.
Yeah, appreciate the kind words. I hope my bias didn't show too much tonight. Obviously, I'm going to be rooting for a guy like Nick. Him and I have had a 7-year iRacing journey together, and it's cool to see him contend. But at the end of the day, the cream rises to the top, and Henry deserves what he accomplished. It's cool to see what you guys do. I appreciate anyone in esports, and big or small, no matter how big your community is, it's cool to see the passion and the effort people put forward. And I really appreciate you guys looping me in on something you've worked so hard to build. I gotta thank Jim Brooks for building this and kind of putting some really good incentives behind it for guys like Henry and Matt and Nick and different guys like that to come in and see that competition get better and better. So just, yeah, thanks for having me. And I think we'll probably see me a bit. It all just comes down to the days of the week at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so no, yeah, like, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So definitely looking forward to a little break, but yeah, ready to get back into it again for sure as well. So, but yeah, thank you all so much for supporting us here at Green White Checker TV. But like you mentioned though, Kobe, on the esports side of things, also really got to give a big shout as well to ESTV. So we're able to kind of take advantage of them with our partnership with Dark Horse. So of course, always love everybody supporting us here on Green White Checker TV on YouTube. But if not though, you can always watch these races on ESTV on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, and of course they also have the re-airs, so you can find them on Roku and many other streaming devices. So you definitely want to hit them up as well. So yeah, I really want to thank everybody for that part of it as well. So So it's come a long ways, and I have a feeling there's going to be a lot more to grow with it as well. So, and of course, got to thank what LMC Gear has been doing as well, of course, with that partnership. I think that's going to help Henry out a little bit more as well. He might be able to get some solar phone charging action on that for that 007 car. So we'll see how the weather over there in England cooperates, if he's able to get some good charge. But yeah, just overall, though, again, awesome season. Going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to the next one. But we got 2 more races to go for the season finales throughout the season. So Thursday night we have the Premier Series finale. Say it's going to come down to Larry Yingling and the 13 of Ryan Kelly. And then on Sunday, of course, the Super Speedway Series. Say will be our finale over there at Talladega. So stay tuned for those. And of course, same thing, have a couple weeks off, then we'll be right back into it in September. So until then, though, I hope you all had a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for watching, for supporting us. And again, congrats to our champion, Henry Bennett, and our top 3, Matt Wagner and Nick DeGroot. And we will see you in a few more weeks to start our next season. Have a good night, everyone.
Night, everybody.